The Brown Park Podcast is brought to you by Grow Clinics. You can go to growclinics.com.au to book a free consultation or for more information. Hello.
G'day, mate. What is news?
I know we say this on a lot of our podcasts, but we have a very, very interesting story to tell today with our guest.
This guest has been through the ringer.
Like you wouldn't believe, from a traumatic upbringing, stripping to make money, but now has become the voice of female empowerment and strength. And her story is incredible, and you're going to hear it shortly on the Brown Park Podcast.
The Brown Park Podcast.
Question,
Hit me.
what's your hobby at the moment that you've gotten yourself into a lot? You knew I was going to ask you. You knew I was going to ask.
As soon as you said that, I went, I know where he's digging here, but I can...
Dion's gotten himself a new hobby. He's gotten himself a new hobby, and he's like sharing it amongst us more than anybody else. But I'm like, no, I've got to bring this up on the show because your hobby's not one that I would pick for you.
It's not what you would think for a 46-year-old man, all right? So
Yeah.
I've started diamond arting. It's brilliant. I love it. You can say what you want, but it's good for my mind.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you're looking after your brain. But what is diamond art for those that have no idea? Because until you started, I had absolutely not a clue.
Diamond arting, you get a picture. It's almost like paint by numbers, but instead of using paint, you use these little gems. They look like diamonds, right? So you pick it up with a sticky pen and then you put it down into that area of the painting, and essentially you paint this thing with little gems into a beautiful piece of art. So I've been working, I've got a bit of a theme going. I've been doing Star Wars diamond art just to get a bit of a manliness back into it.
Do you even like Star Wars? Oh, hang on, manliness into it. Okay, so and what character are you painting, diamond arting from the Star Wars universe, you big man?
Sweet baby Yoda.
The Brown Park Podcast.
Our guest today, an amazing woman. Her story is nothing short of incredible. I don't want to ruin any part of it. I just want her to tell the story.
Shani Chantel, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
That's all right. Your story sort of struck us because you have had, and I say this to a lot of our guests because this is what the podcast is about, but it's you've had a very interesting life.
And it's only getting even more interesting as I get older, I think.
So you're 30 now?
Yeah, 31.
And you are, oh my God, I don't even know where to start with your story. I was reading it going, holy shit.
Holy crap. Yeah.
So let's go back to when you were young. You were a young immigrant family that came to Victoria.
Yeah, so my parents are both born overseas. So my mum's Czechoslovakian, my dad's Cyprian Turk. But I was born here in Australia, but second generation. So my parents came and then us.
Now, in your story, you talk about how your family was bullied and how racism, I guess, came into play against your family, which is just insane. I still don't understand that kind of thing, but yeah.
So we grew up in, I don't know if anyone knows it even exists, Metcalfe, a little tiny country town. Absolutely nothing there, but like kind of, yeah. But we kind of moved around that area. So we're in Kyneton, and then we're at Castlemaine, and then I spent some time in Mackay with my dad when he decided to do a runner. So I lived there, but we moved around heaps, swapped schools 8-9 times. But it was just wild stuff. But I think a big part of that was, you know, we'd always get called the wogs and all of that kind of stuff because it was very white Western area. But also my mum was gay, and there was like no one, that was like sort of the time where people were only just sort of coming, you know, out of the closet, as we say. Also just, it was a really, really freaking tricky time. And I think people just weren't as accepting. I mean, we still struggle with accepting, you know, each other and culturally now, I think, not personally, but we still see it so much, especially back then. I don't know. It was just very different. I mean, I say back then, and it doesn't really sound that long ago. I'm only 30, but I feel like it was a lifetime ago, honestly, the closed-mindedness. But a big part of that had to just do with, one, being wogs, but then the wogs with gay parents. Like,
yeah. I mean, how did that go as the child of a gay parent back then? How was that?
Yeah, I talked about this a lot recently. I had a beautiful feature on SBS and we were talking all about, having gay parents and being the only ones in a school of 500 children with gay parents. I'm absolutely sure there was more.
Oh, yeah, but they were closeted. They were closeted, yeah.
Yeah. We know how that goes. But, man, it sucks. Like, it sucked absolute ass, honestly. It was the hardest thing. I can absolutely say now I'm on the other side of it all and it shaped me in so many ways. I'm honestly the most, I'm going to toot my own horn a bit, but I'm so accepting. I meet people, I hear their stories, I feel from where they come from. And that a big part of that is coming from, a childhood that was all sorts. It was mixed racially. It was, the gay parents, all kinds of things.
Go forward a little bit. And you were in this country town and you had zero money. There was no money coming in. And for whatever reason that happened to be, but your mum didn't have a job and you felt that you needed to go and take matters into your own hands.
Yeah. So I'm going to just correct that a little bit. So my mum and her partner, it was quite a domestically abusive situation. And they were very much on the end of their relationship. They'd been together for maybe 11 years, but it was a really bad spot. My sister was in and out of foster care at the time. My mum was working 3 jobs, the whole lazy partner situation. So she was working, my mum, but just making ends meet. And we had 3 kids in the house. And then my mum and her partner decided to build this house and they started and then they just found themselves in the absolute shit. As you do, you start a project, it costs more. Just normal things like, there was no running water on the property. We had like one long extension cord that ran the whole house that would short every 5 minutes, stuff like that. And I know I've read articles about myself where people are like, this isn't poverty stricken, this isn't. But honestly, in Australia, in Victoria, it's very unheard of. I mean, it's not. Like for us to bath, we'd be going down to the creek that was nearby and we'd be bathing in there. Oh, we thought it was fucking great at the time, but I look back at that now and I'm like, I can't imagine saying to my 6-year-old daughter, you want to wash? Okay, let's go down to that. And then all the other school kids, that's the place where they go and swim after school because it's hot. Yep. We're down there with the soap, so yeah.
It's pretty fucking close to poverty. Come on.
It was close. It was poverty.
Well, for Australia, no running water and no electricity is poverty.
Can I just say too, the only thing that separates, you hear of poverty being the commission flats down here in Flemington or, the absolute ghettos of Australia. That and the only difference that set us between that and this situation was, one, we were living in a country town and no one knew that was how we were living. Only the shits at school that were giving us shit. And the other thing is too, we're always, I think when we think of poverty, we think like filth and mess, and that wasn't how we lived. Obviously having, my mum being, woman, that's really in them to work hard and live cleanly, that's old in them. So yeah, that was the only difference, was that we always lived really clean, but it just was so people often like, well, that's not poverty. I'm like, no, it actually is. So I decided to take it upon myself and I was like, okay, I heard about stripping. I'd seen it on TV and I was like, let's go. Let's help mum. As you do.
So why not?
Getting there.
So one, I wanted to go back to the river for a second. Bathing yourself in winter in Victoria in a river would have frozen your ass off.
We were sick all the time. We were those kids that were always sick. Yeah.
But 2, how did you tell your mother that this is what you were going to do, or did you just go, fuck it, well, she was going to go and do it?
No. So my sister at that time, so she was in and out of foster care. So long story short, back when I was about 9 years old, my sister had tried to take my mum's life with a butcher knife.
Holy crap.
DHS came to the school. They were also really concerned, and I'll circle back around, but they were concerned why we were always like bruised. And and one of the teachers had obviously gone and told the principal or whatever the situation was. And I got to school one morning and they called me in the office and they were like, is your mum abusing you and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm about to like, it wasn't my mum, it was my sister. She was she was so close with my dad. And when he left, that child, honestly, something happened internally. It was like a switch, and that was the beginning of the end for her. And I know we hear about, but my dad also didn't want more kids. So that was his golden child. He was like, enough at, one, that was his girl. So anyway, long story short, she had come back from foster care and she was living with us, and she was 16. She started to dabble in the like, who is my dad and who is his family, and had reached out to some cousins down here in Melbourne. But what she didn't know is the auntie that she'd reached out to was heavily involved with a lot of the bikie gangs down here, running credit card fraud and all kinds of stuff. And hearing this here first, guys. And so she was heavily involved when that was sort of when it was huge. The distribution of ice became a trend, I feel, in Australia. That was sort of that time. My sister was 16, so good chunk of time ago. And we hear that drug now and we're like not as shocked. But when we used to hear...
Yeah, it's crazy.
Up around those, marijuana, cocaine. I mean, all hearing that stuff was sort of the norm for me. But you'd hear ice and you knew like danger. Like,
it's bad. That's bad.
It's not the party drug. It's not the relaxing drug. It's the drug that'll ruin your entire life.
Yeah.
Sort of the, like, back in the day it was the heroin and then it was this. So... yeah, so my sister had reached out to them and was like, oh, yeah, my auntie was like, come down, spend time with us, and didn't know any of this. Anyway, while she was staying down here with my auntie on a little 2-week holiday, my auntie had offered her ice to try. And I don't know how this came about, but her daughter had been, involved. It was just a whole shit show. Anyway, at that time, my sister had also then gone, I think she was back and forth a little bit. I can't quite remember the timeline, but this is when she really started like acting out, and things just got really wild at home. Can't quite explain how wild. But anyway, so over that time, fast track a couple of years, and then I was 16, turning 17, and my sister, I'd heard her over the phone one day to my cousin about stripping down here in Melbourne. And she had done a night at Men's Gallery. And I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, that weekend that she went to back to stay with my auntie, because mum was, it was really bad. She was physically abusing me and my brother really bad, because honestly, we didn't know. We just thought, okay, the girl's lost her mind. Like, she's angry. Yeah. She hates mum, all that stuff. But we didn't know she was drug affected at the time.
Yeah.
And started dabbling in that. And also just, being a teenager, like you're already going through so much mentally, physically, emotionally, and coming from our home. So, so she'd left her ID behind. And I was like, yeah.
I'm on.
And I was so tired. I was so tired of seeing my mum struggle, honestly. My mum was just a fighter. And I talk about my mum a lot, podcast, little TV show features. And sometimes I feel real guilty and I constantly call and clarify. And I say to her, Mum, you weren't the bad situation in this. But honestly, when you come from shit and you are taught nothing, how are you? So for her, this life that we were living was a big level up. It was like the home, let's own a home. Let's, all those things that we're told as women to do to be successful. But it fucking ruined her life trying to chase that dream for us. So she got severely in debt. Her partner and her were in all sorts. And I was just so tired. I was so tired of seeing them punch on. I was so tired of pulling my brother. The only time me and my brother would spend any time together was when I was pulling my mum off my sister. She wasn't smashing her with something from in the house. My mum was so deeply frustrated and broken, right?
Yeah.
It was, I remember one time, this is one of the last times, sorry, back.
Oh, yeah.
Take time.
Yeah. And it's really important to me to talk about this, and it probably seems like it's a really touchy subject because it never gets old, that memory.
No.
And it stays with you forever. And this is just the reason why it's so important to talk about, because when we grow up around this stuff, it really, we hear it all the time about you grow up and you become an adult and you make your own decisions and, we can't say that that's why she did this because of this when she was younger, but it does. And, we talk about trauma, and trauma just, for me personally, was a very traumatic situation. The last time I'd pulled my mum off my sister was when she had beat the absolute shit out of her with a massive shovel. One of the workers had left because we were having the house renovated. And, you know, I don't blame my mum for any of this. I mean, my sister was an absolute monster. What do you do with a kid that's physically abusing the others?
Yeah.
You're sending the kids to school. They're completely bruised. Anyway, so that was the last time the situation was bad, and that was the weekend my sister went off to my auntie's and she'd left the ID behind, and I was like, I am just tired. I'm tired of this life. From the age of 9 till about 14, the amount of times I tried to take my own life. And I think about that now, and that nobody in that home knew that. That is horrifying. I mean, you have girls, and you can't even imagine the fact that they go home at 9 years old and they slide down the back of that door, and I can feel myself sliding down the back of the bedroom door, closing it, thinking, I'm going to fucking do it. Today's the day, because it was just hell. And I think, you know, so that was the beginning, honestly, of my world, sort of the beginning of just being like, I'm going to try and help my mum. Like, I just can't take this anymore. And it's interesting because when you're a child, usually you blame, you see this stuff and you go, fuck my parents, they're shit. Like, it's their fault. But I saw my mum fight for us constantly. She honestly just struggled so much, but she never, and this is probably where I get it from, to just fight, keep going, stand up, do the things. My hustle mode, you know, I can't even tell you the amount of money I've made this week and how much I've pushed myself. That is just that fire inside of me that is like, you know, that comes from my mum. So whilst there's a lot of hard stuff, she also just taught us to never give up.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that was it. I was like, okay, she drove us into school, into Castlemaine, and I was like, okay, I told her I was going to school, jumped on a train on a week. And, and then I had this, I remember I packed these heels and dress that I found in the house in the shed. I can't quite remember what happened or where I got it from. But, and I didn't know where Men's Gallery was, right? Because, like, never been there, didn't know what to expect. And I was talking about this yesterday with a couple of girls. And, man, the interview process was like, okay, come in, it's your turn. So I'm waiting there with 10 other girls at 17 years old with my fake ID. I mean, I looked a little like my sister, but you could tell it was not my sister.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone in the room was like, you know, we all knew. And then also baby, I looked like a baby. You know, I hadn't developed or anywhere, you know, it wasn't a woman's body. And I went into that room and I just like stripped down completely, and I was just standing there, and the interview process was, okay, let's take it. It was taking a phone back, like it was a camera. Okay. And there was like 3 other dudes in the room and this other woman. Okay, stand there. The interview process is, we'll take a few photos. We'll look at your body. And in front of me, and this was, I didn't even know at this point that my conscience of my body and like questioning myself, because at this point you haven't questioned your body.
No.
I mean, you have the thing at school of like, I'm not really like her, but you're not thinking, oh, I don't have the legs she has, or I don't have the stomach she had. You're just like, I'm not really like her. I mean, obviously my world was worlds apart from other girls, so constantly comparing my life, but not my body. And so no idea at all that this would be the moment where my body insecurities would be birthed. And they were like, a couple of photos. And then they were like, I was standing there and they're looking at the photos and they're like, oh, she's got all right legs. What do we think, guys? You know, oh, yeah, her feet could do with a bit of, you know, just make sure you wear the closed-in shoes.
So they're focused in.
And I'm like, you know, I'm just thinking purely about the money. I'm thinking, mate, $200-$300. That's my thought process. Didn't have any goal in mind, and skipped out of there. So, oh my God, they think I've got good legs. Like, skipped out of there, got the job. Like, as if I wasn't going to get the job. I mean, they needed girls.
Yeah.
And you know, clip-clopped all the way back to the train. Got changed on the train like nothing happened, and went home and just. I don't even remember processing it. I just got up the next day and was like, yeah. And then I ended up dropping out of school, as you do, part of the story. And a lot had happened in between there, though, because I was lucky enough to, I mean, when you're in those environments, you're looking for anything to latch onto to just keep on going. And for me and my brother, that was music. You know, we had MTV, we saw all the, you know, the bling and the this and the that, as you do, like,
yeah,
brainwashed. And, and so we got right into hip hop and dance and break dancing, and that was our thing. So amongst all this, I ended up getting a government grant of like $150,000 that this youth worker that I was working with at the time had applied for, because he was also into hip hop and he was much older, obviously. But as a youth worker, so yeah, he was like, I'll apply for this grant for you, and if it all goes through, you and your brother can run hip hop classes. And obviously he knew what we were coming from.
Yeah.
I'd never told him, but honestly, he saved our lives. Like, he's got no idea. And I actually think about him all the time and how much I'd love to just get in contact with him, because, you know, it's those people outside of your family and outside of the school, and that one person that's just like, what can I do to help? And genuinely just helps, but without saying it, without even letting us know how much effort and time and going home thinking about us and how he could help us. He was doing. So it's just wild, yeah.
Brown Park.
I want to say a big thanks to our ongoing sponsor of the Brown Park podcast, Grow Clinics. They are hair growth specialists and Australia's most trusted hair transplant clinics. They can grow your hair back for life with Regrow.
They can, and they actually use doctors. They don't use, in inverted commas, technicians. They're actual doctors.
Yeah, Regrow is the most refined hair transplant experience in Australia, and it's performed from start to finish by certified doctors with natural results guaranteed. What you should do, and we say this a lot, is get in for a consultation. What happens is you go in for a consultation. It's about 45 to 60 minutes. They sit there with you with a hair growth specialist, and they will give you all the facts you need to make an informed decision, including hair transplant pricing. So you'll actually know what you're up for.
And you may not even need a hair transplant. You may just want to slow down your hair loss, or you may want to try to thicken up the hair you have. They've got you covered for every stage of hair loss.
Yeah.
Whether it be completely receding and you want to restore your hairline, or if you just want to thicken up that hair. But the first step is just making the call.
Best thing to do is jump on their website, growclinics.com.au, have a look at some of the real-life stories, see whether this is a bit of you, and then make that phone call. Because hair growth is stronger with Grow.
The Brown Podcast.
It's like when you got that ID, that was your moment where you said, fuck this, I'm going to take control of this situation.
I was like, fuck this, I'm out of here. And also, it wasn't like to get away from my family, it was to help my family. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, all my mum would say all the time was, we've got no fucking money. I just remember that over and over. And they'd be outside punching on in the shed, her and her partner. And it's very rare that you hear of, you know, a gay relationship of two women punching on like that. And also, one's a little bit more masculine, the other isn't. And you're constantly confused between like, who's right here, who's wrong, you know, like.
Yeah, that'd be a real head screw, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, because it's that. Obviously, you know, we think about it now, and I was in quite an abusive marriage for quite some time there. And, you know, you look at relationships and you instantly just assume that if something's not right, it's the man, the toxic man, the man that's abusive, the man. But we didn't have that. Like, we'd see it in new movies and stuff. We're watching all kinds of movies. And that was actually, honestly, one of the biggest head fucks. And I still think now of just like, who was right, who was wrong. Obviously, no one.
Yeah.
But at the time, you're blaming the other one because the other one looks more masculine. And, you know, as a child, that is very, very confusing. And I don't think we hear and talk about that enough. You know, we talk about being accepting and, you know, and I feel like I can speak on the, you know, for children who have grown up with gay parents, it's really important because we don't talk about the confusion that we go through. You know, we talk about those people being accepted and, you know, encouraging, you know, other children to be them and accept. And you see it everywhere. It's on social media. Yeah. It's everywhere. And it's like, yeah, that's all good. But what about the people that haven't been explained to what the fuck is going on? Because we're so brainwashed. You know, society's taught us that men and women, and that's how it works. And, you know, and it's different now, and I get that. But that doesn't mean that for us, children that grew up with gay parents aren't still utterly fucking deeply confused. That doesn't go away, you know, and I don't blame my mum for that because she was trying to figure herself out as well.
So walk us through 17 years of age. taking the stage in a gentleman's club. Yeah. What was going through your mind? I don't care about the performance, but what was going through about your mind?
The performance.
You could obviously dance because you had an experience with hip hop and all that kind of stuff, but it's not like you can break dance on the stage as a stripper.
There's no break dancing going on.
No.
Yeah, no. So that was the one thing that I knew I'd be okay with was music. I was like, if there's music, I'll be fine. It can't be that fucking hard. I remember being like shaking my little foot when it got up on the stage, like
the Hobbit feet you were talking about.
And there's no training, right? It's like you've got a stage. Can you work today? Yep, cool. Okay, today's your first day, and I've got nothing with me. And okay, borrow some shit from another girl's locker. We don't care. Just get up there. Yeah. And the shifts back then were so long. So you would start at 5 p.m. and that was like the real hustle mode. And also there was fines if you started later than 8 p.m. All this jargon. And
fines. Hold on. You get fined if you don't start early by the owners of the club?
Like if you don't start before 8 p.m. and you want to come in, 9, whatever, because there's already a fee. So there's $150 fee to work at the club. It's a table fee, right? And then every time you're late or every time you're 5 minutes late to a stage, it's another $100. So sometimes I'd work all night and end up paying all my money out in fines. Like, sometimes you're running 2 minutes late, and we had an absolute dick of a manager. He was horrible. Like, he'd be really on that, because in his mind, we're making bank, and he's just, I don't know, he was, when I think about it, he was probably the biggest woman hater that I knew and should not have been in that club. But yeah, so, 12 times.
Just a little bit.
It's like a flashback, and I was like, but yeah, so I got up on that stage, and this, honestly, you just think to yourself, it couldn't get any worse. Like, this is my thing. Like, nah, all right, we're all good from here on out. We can just get through this one, Anyway, and I get up on the stage, and I shit you not, it was one of the first stages of the day. So dead in there, no one in there, just this table of boys. I fucking not the boys that used to bully the absolute shit out of me and my sister.
Oh no!
That stage with their fake IDs.
No way.
And there was like 6 of them, yeah. And I remember that the way that they looked at me and I looked at them, I will never forget. It was like, well, what are you doing here? And obviously, me being me, I put it back on them. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? And
perverts.
Yeah, and that's and that's how it got out that I was working down there. Because obviously, they're going to go home and tell everyone, right? And yeah.
But there would have been some satisfaction in taking all of their money, though.
Well, no, they didn't really know. They were the really young boys with very not deep pockets.
Oh, okay.
So no, it was sort of, and they were awkward. But I do remember one of the boys at the end of it, like they were leaving, and he just came up to me and he's like, "I think it's really great what you're doing," and like, all that kind of stuff. And that stuck with me, So like, yeah, okay. He could see what I could see, and obviously he knew what I'd come from, right?
Yeah.
They knew a little bit about, the situation, and there's always one in there that's just like, doesn't really get into the mean group.
So you did that until you were, what, 24? If I was reading right, you were doing that until...
23, nearly 20. Yeah, because I had my daughter. My daughter's 6. I'm 31 now. So, yeah, somewhere around there. Don't always believe what you read. Okay.
Oh, no, look, it was a Daily Mail article. It was a Daily Mail article, but I just was trying to work out the...
No, they did all right. Some of it was true, believe it or not. Yeah, I did that for quite some time, but in amongst all of that, I was running a hip hop program with the youth worker that I'd mentioned, and I'd stuck with him quite some time. I had a break in there where between 18 to 9, no, it was probably a little bit later, no, maybe 19 till 20, I had a really, like a break, and I wasn't dancing at all. I went to I think it was like Don, the salami brand. I was capping with them and...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I don't want to make the obvious joke there, but you went from...
I was going there, but I left it. Small goods, we like this.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we could laugh about it because it wasn't funny at the time.
No, sorry.
But yeah, I was working in quarantine there for a while, but I was also doing this is how stripping came back up. I was working there and I was like, this is absolute hell. I was in like covered in, what is that? Plastic, apron and all that stuff, the big boots, and I hated it. It was cold. And I also always felt like I was destined for more. And I know we hear that all the time, but honestly, I had something inside of me that was always like, and also go on.
Oh, no, you're saying that. I feel like you have to believe that. Yeah. I feel like that's a mind state. You can either accept what you're doing, or you have to have a dream. You have to have goals.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people, I think about that now, and I go back to my small country town, and even my hairdresser is always asked. She's like, I follow your daughter on Instagram, and she's so lovely. My mum's hairdresser, and she's like, yeah, I grew up with Shani, but I think about all those people, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they stayed there and they did their thing and they had their babies, and that was okay, and that's fine, but it was never going to be me. I just, obviously. Yeah.
But I mean, to go through all the shit that you went through as a child, to not try to use that to grow yourself or to move forward, it's almost you've got to use your trauma to your benefit at some point and go, right, no, I'm either going to stay in this or I'm going to push forward and...
Yeah. And a big one for me too is always remembering how hard my mum tried, and always say to myself, we didn't come this far just to come this far. My mum didn't fight the way she did. She did not go through, and I've shared this recently. My mum was kidnapped when she was 7 years old and brutally abused sexually, and so she was kidnapped and in the Flemington flats when she was living down there with her mum, and her mum was quite wild party times. That time was parties. Yeah. Different kind of party. And so my mum was kidnapped, and the guy that kidnapped her, there's a big manhunt for her and her sister. They were both very young. And their brother had already been made ward of the state, from what I believe, but they were kept in a laundromat for a good 48 hours, brutally tortured. So my mum, and I did not know this about my mum until I probably only found this out a couple of years ago. And I had this moment where I just suddenly understood everything. I don't know, but for me, it was like everything just fell into place. Obviously, I have a 6-year-old and I look at her every single day, and my thought process, I look at her and I just think, can you imagine at this age of that innocence being taken? And your parents don't know where you are because they're too busy having a party. You're fucked from the jump. You honestly do not stand a chance. And how would we stand a chance? I'm honestly surprised that, I say to myself every single day, anything I do today is better than what I could have done, because I had every reason to go the absolute other way.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the expression fucked from the jump, though. That's really good. I don't know why that one just got me. I like that.
Oh, good. Add that to your list.
Okay, I want to ask. I had a friend who worked in the stripping industry, and she stripped for a while to try and earn money because she wanted a better life than what she had at the time as well. Give me a story. Give me a funny story about one night there, and just the stupid shit that guys do.
Oh man. Where did you that? Oh man, was like a real deep. Oh man.
Oh yes, I feel we're going to go somewhere good with this. I like it.
You know what? This stuff, the stories. I mean, Christ, I'm still scarred for life. I mean, I used to have this one guy and it used to really fuck with me mentally, because obviously I'm young, right, and got my own parental issues. But yeah, he used to come in and say, can you do X, Y, Z to me? Because this is what my mum used to do to me. And,
wow.
It's just trauma on top of trauma.
Oh, yeah, right. Jesus.
And I'm realizing in those moments, this really built me to be like, my life wasn't too bad. If that's what gets you through every day.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So yeah, I had one particular customer that would always ask me to really pinch him hard, because that's what his mum used to do to him. I mean, that's quite scary, and that's a pretty subtle one. But yeah, all kinds of stuff. Just mentally, it doesn't help. Does it help when you're already not in a good place?
So how did it feel when you finished work at the end of each shift? How mentally, were you okay at the end of each shift, or you just learned to process it?
Or was it just money?
No, because that's the thing is, right, you have ideas that it's going to be money, 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 and it's just not. I walked away with $30 on my first night, and I'd worked from 5 p.m. till 8 a.m. and then had to catch a train back to Bendigo. And how much do you think the train back to Bendigo is? $20, right?
Yep.
I'm standing in my room where I was staying at the time, renting a room off someone with $10 in my hand, thinking, right.
So how were you after each shift?
It depended on what happened. If you'd had a really good night, you'd convince yourself that you're born to do this and you can do it and you'll get through and it'll be fine if you're walking out of there with $1,500. If you're walking out of there on a night, because that does happen, it happens, and I'm so overseeing on all of the apps, the TikToks of women counting money and glorifying it. I am so sorry, but that is not the way it goes. And for a lot of those women, it's the 1 in 10 that is making $1,500 to $3,000 a night, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that needs to be put out there a little bit more. But yeah, so there was often times where something would happen, where, you know, maybe I'd been fined for being late because I'd be like, oh, just stay with this customer 10 more minutes. He'll give me a bit more. He'd give me nothing. And then I'd be late and then I'd pay them, right? You know, you're just always hoping and hoping, because also I didn't have the balls at the time to ask for money. I'd been around of no money, right?
Yeah.
I don't come from knowing how to, my mum was just save, but there wasn't, you know, looking at her like, well, you're saving and we have nothing. Like, doesn't get end. So anyway, I'd often go home. This is my thing. I'd throw my stuff down, go in the shower, sit on the bottom of the shower and cry and cry and cry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that was probably the worst of it. And then you'd get back up and you'd be like, no, I have to do this again. And off you'd go.
But all the while you're looking after your family.
Yeah, sometimes the best parts was like that, seeing my mum like smile, you know, when I'd give her $100 and she'd be like, oh, you know, and she sort of, it's kind of weird because I think about it, I'm like, did you know? You must have known, surely. But also she knew that I was doing, because I was doing that in the evening, I was doing the dance stuff during the day. And my brother and I, among all this shit, we ended up going on some really amazing tours. We danced with Lady Gaga on the morning show or something, and then a famous rapper, Shani, we were backup dancers on her tour. So we had all these amazing opportunities. Obviously, being kids or younger teenagers, people were paying us for that. And you know, whatever. So yeah, and just tell them, I'd be like, and I think about it, it's a pretty good lie. I'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to MMA, which is the dance place that we'd pay $10 and do a class, and yeah. I know. She never really questioned it, but she was in the absolute shit, so she probably wasn't even thinking about it.
And she probably didn't want to ask either way, so, you know, just...
Yeah. And I loved that. I loved seeing my mum happy, just having a bit of money. But the thing about that, and that's a whole different story, and bless her, you know, she formed a really bad gambling addiction. And a lot of that money that I gave my mum went straight back into the pokies.
And the bloody pokies. Get a few people.
Oh, shopping.
Yeah.
So you ended up quitting stripping?
Yeah.
Or exotic dancing?
Yeah.
Why? What made you go, okay, this is it, I don't want to go back to this? What opportunity came your way?
Wasn't a good one. I ended up getting really sick and going through chemotherapy.
Oh, shit. God, you got to write a book.
We really do.
Yeah.
Sprinkle that in there. I got really sick. I started chemo. I was dealing with ruptured cells in their ovaries.
Yeah.
This happened, and how I knew this was I was on my way home from a shift of dancing at the club, and I got up off the train because I was staying here, there, and everywhere, but this particular time I was staying out at Cranbourne. And I got up, and I was wearing white pants, of all pants.
Uh-huh.
There was this, and I was like, where is that coming from? And I got up, and I can see down the train. I didn't realize I was hemorrhaging at this time.
Oh, yeah.
And I can see down the train, right, this big line of blood. And, you know, it's the train, and I'm sorry, but anywhere from, like, the city to the suburbs, anything on those trains, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
Especially in that time, that period of, like, when you finish a shift and you know, it's a real sleazy time.
Yeah.
They're not going to work, they're coming back from something.
Yeah.
And yeah, this guy just tapped me on the shoulder and he goes, do you know that you're sitting in a big puddle of blood? And I kind of got up and got off the train, went straight to the hospital. And yeah, they were like, okay, we're going to take your ovaries out. All this stuff happened, blah, 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 blah. And it was just, yeah. And this surgeon came and saw me and she lastly said to me, how old are you, by the way? Was the last question. And I said, I'm 20. And she was like, oh my God, you're too young. You know, you might not be able to have babies, but let's try and do chemo first without taking them out. And she's like, up for it. These are the risks, you know, your health risks and stuff. And I was like, yeah, you know, I don't know. I didn't know what to say. Yeah, fucking anything, you know, I was horrified of surgery. I had about 8 weeks off. And I was like, not well, but it was like, it's time to go back to work because I needed the money once again. And I went in for a few shifts and I just couldn't get over the fact that no one ever asked where I was. No one messaged me. The owner used to pretend like I was his best mate. Never once did he reach out, you know, stuff like that. And that really broke me because I already had no sense of community, no sense of belonging. And I didn't know it at the time, but it really made me feel absolutely worthless. I just remember thinking, it reminded me of when I was a child and I used to think, if I took my own life, this is a thought process, if I took my own life, no one would care. It would be easier for mum. It would be easier for everybody involved. And I felt like that. I was like, if I went missing or, you know, something happened and I realized they're not your friends, they're not your family, they don't give two fucks about you. They didn't know what happened to you when you came back and you said, well, yeah, I've been off doing chemo. Oh, that's not nice. And, you know, I just felt really worthless. And I remember there was just one night where I was just looking around the place and I was like, no, I can't do this. I don't care. I just couldn't.
All right.
Destined for bigger things.
On to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
So then what was next?
I got more involved with the dancing, performing, the hip hop stuff. I was teaching some, I always had it in me to help. I had this thing about helping, and I don't know. And my mum was a real helper as well. She'd always help the underdogs, even when we had nothing. You know, she'd give people a place to stay, like just shit like that, which she probably strangers in the home, but she was just a good-hearted woman. And, you know, coming from struggle, she'd pick up on struggle. And so, yeah, I ended up creating a Indigenous hip-hop dance program. And we got some government funding and that really took off and I was doing that heaps. And that was for girls who were in school, which was interesting because I wasn't much older than these girls, but the hook was hip hop, you know, give them something to come to school for because that was a time when the drug ice had honestly taken over Bendigo and, you know, kids and teen pregnancy was real bad. A fair few of my students that were like 14, 15 were pregnant. Like,
Yes.
Especially from the Indigenous community. And yeah, it was beautiful. There were 8-week programs and some of these girls started coming back to school. And I think because I wasn't too much older, obviously I had support being young and, you know, not a teacher. But yeah, I always just wanted to, hip hop was just the hook, but it was so much more than that. And I did that for quite some time and it remained government funded. And then, yeah, I ended up meeting my partner that became my husband and Angel's dad, my daughter's dad. And yeah, it kind of, I don't know, it just all went from there.
Brown
Park. I want to say thanks to our ongoing sponsor, Grow, the hair growth specialist. If you're in the situation where your hairline is receding and you don't like the look of where your hairline is at, jump on the website because every Grow Diary journey tells a story. They have these diaries that they've done with a bunch of people, myself included, where you can see the process from before to where it is now. And I was looking at a photo of myself that they posted the other day, a before and after, and it was insane. I showed it to my wife and she went, holy shit, you were really going bald.
Well, it creeps up on you. A lot of times, I mean, you know it's happening, but sometimes you may become a little bit, you know, not aware of how bad it is.
Yeah. At Grow, they believe in transparency and the quality of the services and products as well as the results they produce, and that's why they do the Grow journey, so that you can see real people, real journeys, real stories and real results.
I love the Grow Diaries because everyone's journey is a little bit different, so you get to see how different people progress through a hair transplant.
And it was the most amazing thing I think I've ever done. Apart from, you know, marriage, kids, and waking up every day. But it is one of the best things I did for myself and my own self-confidence.
Yeah, I completely agree. Me too.
Growclinics.com.au, because hair growth is stronger with Grow.
The Brown Podcast.
So let's flash forward. You are now about body positivity. You are on Instagram. You are sharing your life with people, and it's almost a complete 360 where you've gone from struggling to being where you are now.
You mean 180?
Yeah.
I often do that.
Right. She hasn't gone around a circle. She's gone the other way.
I was like, yeah, whatever.
Failed maths. Maths, this guy.
You've done the 1 quarter, and you've done
you've done the 45 degree.
Yeah.
I felt that too, so I just nodded like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, the biggest smile in my heart and on my face, I am so fucking proud of myself. I said this for the first time last night, and I actually ended up, I was on my story sharing about it because I was chatting with Angel's dad, and he just said, how's work going, all that stuff, because we get along great now. And I said, oh, I'm so proud of myself, and that fell out of my mouth, and I just started bawling, and he was like, what's wrong with you? Oh my God, you just said, and I was just like, I've never said that. I am so proud of myself. I am like, nothing's good enough, all that kind of stuff. But, and I talk about being accepting of yourself and going slow and celebrating the wins, but honestly, I don't think I personally do it enough. It's one of those, you preach it, but are you actually doing it? And I check myself on it all the time. But yeah, I realized how far I've come last night.
Good, yeah.
And I think it's been the lead up. So, I've recently been flown to Sydney to talk on SBS all about my life and journey and stuff like that, which is amazing. Like, they paid for everything. They put me up. They paid for all my Hoover, and it just felt really nice. It was like, people are asking me, paying me to be here. So that was amazing. And then just all of the speaking events that I've done recently, the podcast launch. I've launched a business called FemCon with a business partner, and that's all about empowering women to step into their full force feminine fucking power it's not this big feminine, preachy kind of whatever, and if that's what you're into, great. But we know that the world isn't made up of cupcakes and rainbows, and we are all about just, one of our pillars is like making bank, and reminding women how important it is to have their own money. Financially abusive situation, money, let's not go there.
Yeah.
It's been a monster of all things to me. But yeah, so just all the things about being sexually, being able to say yes and say no when you really mean no, and all the things about when you really can like get into your power in every way with your money and your intimate life and your relationships and being your most authentic self. What happens? Life becomes fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And owning your shit. I have no shame in none of my story, none of it, because all of the things that happened had absolutely fucking nothing to do with me.
So, yeah, but out of your control.
Yeah, so I've got no shame. My stripping taught me more than the few years that I did at school. Stripping taught me to fucking back yourself unapologetically. If you don't stand up for yourself, you're going to end up in some old man's apartment doing things you wish you never had have done, and it'll never leave you. So if you can't stand up, you're fucked from the jump. That one.
Yeah, fuck from the jump. That should be the name. That should be the name of your book. Fuck from the jump. For sure.
But yeah, just all that stuff, I mean, I talk about, my intimate relationship with myself, and when I gave birth to my daughter, you guys are dads, I tore from front to back. I bled out completely. I nearly lost my life that time again. And so constantly being reminded how precious life is. Oh, yeah. In those moments, I have had life taken away from me almost a couple of times. From being in men's apartments and thinking, am I ever going to get out of here alive, because I've gone back there thinking I can earn a few more extra bucks to, this side of life, we're being in complete care and being in a hospital, and then, all that stuff, having huge blood loss. And also Angel's a miracle baby, right? Can we just talk about the fact that I was never supposed to have children?
You're going to say that. Well, I was going to,
yeah. So, and, so obviously there's going to be complications when I give birth, and it was a whole situation, but I am not ashamed of any of it. I don't give no flying fucks what anyone thinks about it, because that's my life. And honestly, if you own it and you share your shit, and even if you don't want to share your shit, but be honest about your life with yourself first, no one has anything on you. people like, I've seen articles about myself. I've had death threats written to me, directed to me, sent to my PO box about how disgusting people think I am. And I couldn't care less. I'm the best person I know. And you know what? I have no shame in saying I'm the best fucking mum I know. There is nothing I won't do that, bend over backwards to make sure that child does not live the life that I live. And while she'll have her own struggles, I'm cool with that and I understand that. But like, you're not coming from this, right? So I've had literally this many years from becoming a mum and being in this really toxic marriage to, before she's 3, I set myself a goal and I said, by the time she's 3, I'm going to be fucking out of here. I'm not going to be being abused. I'm not going to be being told what to wear, where to go, how to be, because that was a whole, I also came from really toxic relationships. Yeah. I have no idea at the time that this is abuse, and I'm like, by the time this child is old enough to know what's going on, no excuses. I will just do anything to make sure that this is not it.
And I think that comes with the decision to be authentic, because once you decide to be authentically yourself, then nobody can have anything over you because you're cool with it. I'm being authentic. So if you have an issue, that's your issue, not mine.
Right? And if I like me, what are you going to do about it? It's that kind of thing of, but that does come from deep trauma, so sometimes I get that question all the time about how are you so confident? And whilst I'm like, oh, I love that so nice, I'm like, dude, I can't quite explain how we got here, but, it hasn't been nice. But also just realizing if I hadn't backed myself in every single one of those situations, we just would not be here right now.
Once you decide to be vulnerable, then it empowers other people to be vulnerable, to talk about their stories. So I think the vulnerability piece isn't spoken about enough because it breeds trust and it breeds that whole, putting things on the table for discussion.
Being vulnerable, sharing my story has opened up this field of women that come and they share their journeys and their stories, and stuff is happening to every single one of these women that you walk past, your parents, all these, something is happening with everyone. And I get to hear those stories and most people don't, because when you're vulnerable, you give people permission to be themselves and there's no shame in that. Like, honestly, I'd rather know people to the rawest of their abilities and who they truly are than to get this surface version. I don't fuck with it. I'm bothered.
I know you're going to want to wrap this up soon, but so we spoke off air that we've both got daughters. Yeah. With social media and everything, you're heavily into social media. Yeah. As dads of daughters, how do we help them manage their, body positivity and things like that? Because we try to reinforce it here at home, but when you're scrolling through Instagram and you're seeing all these beautiful women that have probably been photoshopped, they're using filters, how do dads, or even parents for that matter, help that and manage that? In your opinion?
How old are the kids? And, I talked about this recently about having discussions, obviously age-appropriate discussions. It's really important because sometimes do we tell them, do we not? And we're constantly faced with it's like, I remember walking into my mum and her partner having intimacy for the first time, being super young, and then hating them for a year because I thought they were just animals. I would have just said hey, this is like what this is and this is what it's about. Maybe I would have hated them a little bit less. But just having age-appropriate conversations, actually sitting them down and saying, hey, look at this photo. What do you think of it? Depending on how old they are. And, I say to my daughter all the time, I've been saying it since she was literally, from 3 years old about how beautiful your hips are and they're your hips and how beautiful your skin is. Because obviously, whilst I'm in Melbourne, it's multicultural and all those things. She came home, oh my God, 3 days ago. And she goes, Mom, the kids in class said I'm the brownest. And I was like, well, you are. You're the darkest girl in the class. How do you feel about that? She goes, and, as much as it hurts me, she's like, I wish I had their skin. And I was like,
it's the comparison game, right? It's always comparison with kids, well, even adults, but comparison will kill you every day of the week.
Yeah. Oh my God. It is the thief of all fucking joys and happinesses. But she had well, what do they like about you? And she said, well, all the girls want my hair. I said, well, there you go, enjoy. You have something that they wish. And I said, that's just the way it is. We always want what we can see, but we don't realize how beautiful we are. And, we went on this big conversation, but she's highly aware of I'm constantly, we talk about it all the time. She's like, Mummy, your tummy's so jiggly. She says that all the time. And I say, yeah, and I kind of like it that way because when I was really skinny, I wasn't healthy. I was very unhappy. And whilst being skinny can be good for some people, it's not for others. And we just always talk about the differences. Yeah. But honestly, I think it's having those conversations, being as honest as you can without, giving, because sometimes then when we give, I don't want to say advice, but the social media stuff, when we talk about it, I think sometimes we can be planting seeds that we're not even aware of.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But, you know, so just being like, well, actually, that's not real. You know, there's this thing that makes it look a certain way, but also being aware and saying, well, they have an app that makes them look perfect. And then, well, that's planting that they need to look perfect.
Perfect, yeah.
You have to be so conscious and careful. And it's hard. It is so hard. Yeah. Constantly have conversations with yourself and pause. And if it takes you time, sometimes if I don't have the answer for my daughter and it's something that I'm like, what? Or how do I even answer that? I just say to her, Angel, I'm going to write this down and I'm going to think about the answer for this because it's important to have the right answer for you or the answer I think is appropriate. Let's talk about it a bit later. And sometimes she'll say, okay, mummy, and then she'll bring it up again and I have an answer. But sometimes I say, do you want to talk about that? And she goes, no, I've changed my mind. And I'm like, okay, that's my sign to just leave it. But it happens sometimes, and in the moment you literally have to jump on it and say, well, this is this, or you know, we had a moment there where, you know, Angel was like 4 years old or something, and you know, I was just in the knickers and the t-shirt running around the house, and my dog was going off. We were in a small apartment. I was trying to contain the baby crying, and that, you know, it was a really shit time. Was going through some postnatal depression, and I was just, I didn't even realize, covered in blood, got my period, was just running around doing all the mum things, you know, breastfeeding, all the stuff. And she was horrified. I just remember her looking at me going, you know,
is he dying?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, in that moment, and I wrote a post on this, and that post became one of the most shared posts across social media at the time. And has now also, I will share because this is how important sharing is for me personally. It has become the cover of, so over in Denmark in the university, they teach menstrual studies and all kinds of things for women. Sorry. But yes, so that has become the cover of their menstrual teaching over there in the university. So, you know, I think of stuff like that. But yeah, that changed. In that moment, I was like, do I tell her? And I did. She watched me put a tampon in at that age. And I asked her, I said, do you want to see how mummy's going to deal with this situation? And she was like, yeah. And in that moment, I was like, is this age appropriate? Isn't it? But like now she's 6 and on the way out, she's like, Mum, do you need a tampon? And I'm you know,
well, you normalize it, right?
Yeah. So, and it's that, yeah, is this age appropriate? Isn't it? But like, if I don't teach her, someone else will, because now she's at school and she'll also probably be a bit like me and be thinking, why wouldn't mummy have taught me about it?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So just taking that responsibility of like the hard conversations have to be had, because if you don't have them, someone else will, and you won't get a chance to deliver the information how you wanted to.
Shani. That was a story. My God, you need to write a book.
Fucked from the jump.
We'll look for that soon. And thank you for jumping on the podcast and having a chat to us. Your story is incredible.
Thank you so much, guys. This has been amazing. And I truly appreciate every single opportunity of just, you know, having these conversations with men isn't often something I get to do. And you guys have accommodated a really beautiful space for that. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Brown Pop.
Well, I'm glad we did that one in the morning because I think I would need a drink if it was in the afternoon.
She's had an incredible life story, and the fact that she's still standing here to tell it proves how strong she actually is.
I love it when we talk to people like her that turn their trauma into their power.
Exactly. If you want to find out more about her, Shani.Chantel on Instagram. She's also got FemCon, and she's the host of the FemPod as well. We will put links to all of this in the show notes to this show and up on our website at brownpark.com.au.
All right, we'll see you next time, and I'm off for an Irish coffee.
See ya.
The Brown Pop Podcast.